And Adrian, would you tell the people why you have decided to be part of the 180 Evangelist team?
Yeah, how long do you want me to do it for?
As long as you wish.
Good. Well, he told me today that I was going to be doing this. So, of course, I spent the entire afternoon preparing a half-hour speech on why that was. But I chose not to use it because everything came back to, well, it wasn't because of Bob. And I thought, I can't stand up the front, this guy's doing this speech and saying, well, no, it's nothing to do with Bob. But many of you will recall, in recent months, I've had quite a few ups and downs. Personally and in my spiritual life. I've never left God, but I've felt incredibly alone. I felt at one point that this was no longer somewhere I wanted to be. And I went along to the men's breakfast and we talked about things, and we talked about the importance of being close to God, and we talked about the armour of God. And I remember, she's not here. Oh, terrible with names. The lady from Maidstone likes a hug. Brenda. She said to me, very early days of me being at this, have you put on your armour? Do you put on your armour every morning? And I didn't. And I didn't think about it. And that was the first thing that started to lift me. And other things happened. But through that time, I came to the realisation I wasn't spending enough time with God. And I wasn't relying on him enough. And I felt I wasn't doing enough for him. He was there all the time, always looking after me, looking out for me, lifting me up when those difficult times came. But what was I doing in return? He'd given me gifts, and you need to use those gifts sometimes. But he also, I'm an introvert. I am one of these people who don't believe it, but I am an introvert, and I have to put on a show. When I have to stand like this, I go into work mode. And I don't put, it's not me, it's often something else. And it's important sometimes to try and overcome. My introvert side would say, just keep away from people. Let other people do it. It's some other things. I've, through my Christian life, always found a reason not to do evangelism, not to stand in front of other people, not to go out on the street and talk to people, not to talk to people at work. But as I've grown as a Christian, I've been challenged more and more, and I do talk about it at work now. In fact, last week, we were asked to bring something, could be a photograph, anything, about what we were, who we were. This was for a group of managers to talk with each other, to get to know each other. And I took the Bible. And I thought, this is going to really be a test of how people respond. But I feel so convicted by God that actually start speaking. And during that process, I spoke to Bob and I said, I wish I had the nerve to do this. I just don't think I could do it. And Bob said, just come along. Just come along and see. And I did. And I would encourage everybody here that isn't already doing it to stop making excuses, the fact you can't do it. I hear so many people, and I was one of those, that said, I can't do it. I can't stand and talk to other people. Well, you do throughout life, stand and talk to other people. It doesn't mean you have to go and stand and the first word you say is Jesus, which is the one that most people find the hardest to say to other people, which is odd, isn't it? But so many people you talk to want to hear that. And that response I got from people was lovely. And they were aware that I don't like blaspheming and I don't like swearing. And they said, of course, we need to respect that. But they now know that. So it's just something as simple as that sometimes, isn't it? And that's encouraged me to go along with Bob. And of course, Bob fronts it up beautifully. I don't have to do a huge amount. He speaks so much that I just can't get a word in. I try. I'm on his coattails, but you know, it is a joy to do. Please, if any of you are thinking, I just don't think I can do it, come along. Stand in silence behind us. Or just talk to somebody and say what a good morning it is, how are you? And show the love that we share. I think that's one of the things you keep hearing over and over again about this church, is the love and the greeting people get when they come here. So please, and there is a verse, I would just want to have a verse, trying to something else. One I saved a long time ago. Psalm 73, verse 28. But for me, it is good to be near God. I have made the Lord God my refuge, that I may tell all of your works. And I think that is the challenge to us. Do we go and tell all of his works? So that's why I became involved.
Well done, mate. Well done. Steve, would you come and join us? Before you start, Steve was one of the original people in the team. I think it began in March. I was not there for the first week. I came the second week, but Steve has been there since the beginning. In fact, he was one of the beginning. So Steve, if you could tell people again.
Yeah, sure. It really is a blessing to tell people about God. It's what we've been created for. And when I started this with the group, I can't remember who was there the first time, maybe Ben, Mark, maybe Pat, a few others. It was a new voyage, really. Hadn't really done much in the way of evangelism, which, if we think about it, is a little bit crazy, really. It's a little bit crazy. I say that, but there's somebody that I work with who I've been speaking to for probably the last 7 years or so, and we had our Christmas do this week. We were sitting in tables of about 6, and there was myself and somebody else who's a Christian at that table, and he said, "One of you two need to say grace before we start." He's like, "What?" Okay, make sure you say grace. So grace was said. I guess for me, it's very much about asking God to send the right people when you are there. We've still got it in our heads that it's about our ability. You know, it's about our skill, and we say, this person's better than I am, and blah, 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 blah. That's not how it is for us as Christians. You know, we're different creatures now. That is how we were comparing, looking at other people, thinking about technique and all the rest of it. It really isn't about technique. So one of the times that I asked that for God to send the right people, I was speaking to somebody, and I heard somebody behind me, and he started speaking to me. Some of you will know this person. He's come to church a couple of times. His first name was Wayne. That was about 2 years ago. I keep in contact with him. His mum contacted me this morning. But it had nothing to do with my evangelism skills. And I'll tell you what, I'm really pleased about that. I'm really pleased about that. Yeah, because it means it hasn't really got anything to do with me. Yeah. It's just to do with willingness. That's all it's to do with. Anyone here think that God's capable? He is very, very capable. Yeah, so it makes it easy for us. It makes it very, very easy for us. And when he spoke to me, he knew that he was supposed to be speaking to me. He started speaking to me because of my non-Norfolk accent. And he had a non-Norfolk accent as well. And he was telling me how, people had knocked on his door and his mum had received these nice biscuits, and he kept on thinking about coming to church and all the rest of it. And he felt that was the prompt for him to come. There's been times when it has felt uncomfortable and difficult. Have you got an umbrella? No, I don't need one, but just in case you need to pull me off.
Oh, no, sir.
Yeah?
No, carry on.
There's difficult times, yeah? There's times when you feel like you're asking people, oh, you wouldn't mind if I talked to you about this thing, would you? Yeah. And I think there was probably a time like that when I was with Ben. People were walking by and we weren't really doing anything. I said, Ben, let's pray. Let's ask God for help. We asked God for help, opened our eyes. There's a guy standing in front of me. Ended up speaking with him for about 45 minutes or so. It has been a great experience. Sometimes it does break your heart. Yeah. Sometimes you're talking to people and talking to people and talking to people. One of the things that I've learned is sometimes you just have to stop and carry on. The people that God have brought are the people that God has brought. So much of it is about getting out of his way. And I know that we are programmed to sort of think, we might think, I'm gifted for this, I'm gifted for that. And some of us might think, I'm not gifted for evangelism. If you're a Christian, you're not necessarily gifted for evangelism. Yeah, but if you are a Christian, you are an evangelist. Yeah, you might not be the best evangelist, but you don't need to be. You just need to be a son of his. If I just ask a question, if you were told that as long as you've got to Scotland about by 3 o'clock tomorrow morning, yeah, and someone was going to give you £10 million, would you potentially go? Yeah, you'd probably go, right? Some of us might have work, some of us might have commitments. Yeah, are you going to be bothered? Yeah, 10 million. I think £10 million is probably about £500,000 for the next 20 years. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a boss, he's probably not going to be that bothered if you gave him a £50,000 or whatever from there. Yeah. So, I mean, would you, if that offer was available to your family and your friends, might you tell them? If you would, then you're an evangelist. Yeah, because it's just that's good news. Yeah. So the challenge that I had and have still, and the challenge that some of you may have, yeah, is that I can relate more to £10 million than I can to Christ. And I'm asking Christ to change that. Yeah, I'm asking him to show me more and more of his glory. Yeah. Because if he continues to show me more and more of his glory, he's looking at his watch. Do I need to go?
No,
you sure?
Carry on. I just glanced down. So. Go on, carry on.
He does. I'll try and speed up. He does the work, but we have to ask him. We have to ask him to show him more and more and more of his glory. Yeah, and we can set ourselves a goal. Lord, be more important to me than someone offering me £10 million. And if that's the case, we won't necessarily have a problem about talking to people. Yeah, it's not about technique. Yeah, it's about our standpoint. Yeah, in who he is. That's about all I want to say, really. The thing that we've got to offer people is that our conscience has been cleansed. Yeah, our conscience has been cleansed, and there's nothing else more important to somebody than that. Yeah, so those of us that are out there, the closer that we get to God, the less it's going to feel like as if we're begging people, and more it's going to feel like, I've got something that you need. Yeah, you need this. There's nothing else. Anyway, just what that song was saying. Yeah, there's nothing else that's more important than that. Yeah. Okay, I'll get off.
Trevor, can we put the photographs up of the what we did yesterday, please? I don't know if you have to turn the lights down. Do you have to do that? No. That wasn't yesterday. It was Bob. Oh no, that's no. They're on the blue stick. That's the red stick, or the black stick. No, it's the blue stick. The one I gave you. Yeah, I gave it to you tonight. Did I give you a blue memory stick tonight? Yeah. Okay. While he's sorting that out, yesterday. We were at St Mary's Church. We got there at 11:20. We had a 10-minute slot, apparently. We got there at 11:20. We'd set up by 12. It was Adrian, Joe and myself. A few others were going to pop in, but I think Lakeisha and Ben popped in as well later that day. But the three of us were there, and after we set up, thought, right, okay, bring it on, Lord. We're ready. We're all ready. Nothing happened until 1:30. So we just sat there for an hour and a half and staring at the other four tables, thinking, is anyone going to turn up? And then suddenly, about 1:30, 20 to 2, they started coming in, and they just kept coming in. It was just non-stop till about 4 o'clock. Then they stopped, and by then we'd had enough anyway, and we saw the other tables packing up, so we decided to pack up. So we were there, I say, from 11:20 to about 4ish. And then we finished. It was great. Once they started coming in, the conversations were amazing. It was really good. I won't go into each one, but there was a lot of Christians coming in as well from other churches, and they were saying, "Well done for what you're doing here." You know, they were very, very complimentary and gracious that we would actually set up a table and talk to people. We were offered money for the first time ever. People were saying, "Well, how much is that?" No, it's free. Everything here is free. On the other tables, they were trying to make money for whatever charity they were, and there we are. Yeah. We are. Oh, these here. If you could just hold that one, Trevor. These things here, I don't know if you can actually see it. These are verses. They're on wooden discs, about that big, about 2 or 3 inches. And they were all laid out on the table. We gave away about 140 of those, and there were different verses, and they could choose whichever verse they liked best. And even the non-Christians were going through looking at the verses. You know, they'd probably never seen these things before, but as soon as they found one that sort of connected with them, they said, "Can we have this one?" Absolutely. Do you want one for your friends? Is that all right? Yeah, take one. So about 140 we gave away. They were really good. This was the layout. We were giving away shaving brushes for the men, various tracks there along there. That was the magic stuff at this corner. And on here was a tree, obviously, and that's where the things were. And we were positioned behind there. There was 4 other stalls that way. And I don't know if you can read it here. It's Psalm 139. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. And I'll tell you a little story about that. A guy came up to me a few months ago and said, he walked past and he went, "What does fearfully mean?" I thought, oh no. I went, that's a really interesting question. Come over here and tell him what fearfully means. I could not think of what it was. I said, well, fearfully means you're frightened, but you're not frightened of God, and he's not frightened of you. And I'm thinking, this is getting worse. In the end, I just said, do you know what? I really don't know. I don't know what it means. But it means that, look at this one, wonderfully made. Look, just concentrate on the wonderfully made bit. I just don't worry about the other bit, all right? So I just waffled on like I'm doing now, and he just went away. That was the end of that. Yeah. So a question for you. If someone comes up to you and said, what does fearfully mean in relation to Psalm 139? You're pre-warned, all right? Okay?
Is it to the word
Sorry?
reverence, made?
Yeah, fearfully and wonderfully made. Yeah, I don't know how to explain fearfully. It's never occurred to me before. Right, let's get on. Let's get on with the talk. Otherwise, we're just never going to get anywhere. I'm just going to have a quick recap. Can you hear me if I stand here? Can you all hear me if I stand here? Yeah. It seems like I don't like that. I'm sure most of you will remember, if not all of you will remember, what was said last week. I might stand back over it. What was said last week. We learnt that evangelism comes from the Greek word, which I can't pronounce, and it means simply to announce news. That's it, announce news. And we use that to announce the news of the gospel. And as Steve was saying, when you're actually explaining the gospel, you are doing the work of an evangelist. But although not everyone is given the gift of evangelism, everyone can evangelise. Everyone can tell people of the good news, okay? In just a simple conversation, just chatting. You're still evangelising, just by telling them about the good news. So we know that. The evangelist, I don't know if you remember what I said, I had a conversation with Jonathan a long time ago, and I know I said this before, but I'm doing a recap. I didn't realise that the people in the team were evangelists by the definition of the Bible until I read a part in the Bible, which I've written down here, but I can't really see it, Ephesians 4, 11 to 13. It says, the evangelist is a gift by Christ to the church, along with the apostles, the prophets, the pastors, and the teachers. And that's a gift. Christ said, there you go. That's for you, church. And they're going to help you build up your church. So they're the 5 people that Christ gave to the church as specialists, so to speak. What we haven't spoken about is why we should evangelise. So I'm going to start with that tonight. Can you turn, please, if you've got a Bible, to Isaiah 6, verse 4. Can I have the light back up? I can't see one. Okay. This is why we should evangelise. I'll read it out. Isaiah 6, verse 4. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, here I am, send me. Now that's pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why. There's verse 8. What did I say? 6:8. Yeah. Isaiah 6:8. That's right, isn't it? I got it right? Yeah. Okay. Right, okay. But there's lots more. That's just the one I picked up that basically is a reason why we should. But there's lots and lots, dozens in fact. Don't bother to look these up because we'll be here all night. I'll read them out. There's a few here. Romans 10, 4 to 15. How then will they call on him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they have never heard? And how are they to hear without someone preaching? And how are they to preach unless they are sent? Now that's pretty straightforward as well, isn't it? In other words, no one's going to hear about Christ unless they're told. And that's the work of the evangelist. Just go and tell them. It's not to convert. We do not make Christians when we're out there. That's not our job. Okay? That's the job of the Holy Spirit. That's not our job. Our job is to give them the information, then leave that with the Holy Spirit to do his work. Okay? So when I don't hear of anybody I spoke to within a week coming to Christian, that doesn't worry me. It's not me. As Steve said, it's not us. It's God. I'll tell you something that happened, if I can remember it straightly. No, I'll think of it in a minute and I'll say it then. Let me have a drink. and I'll show you a trick. Well, I think what I'm going to say next. Okay. What I did last time, I showed you a trick that I do for adults, and a trick with the cotton, and the other one was for the children. Thank you, Trevor, thank you. So I'm going to do it again. The tricks I'm showing you are the ones I use when we're out evangelising. So I'll start off with a children's trick, and then I'll do the adult trick. Would you help me, mate? Thank you so much. Come over here. Come over here. Okay, do you help me with a trick? It's a long time since you've done that, haven't you? I normally show them an empty tin. And I say, would you like some sweets? And they would go, yeah, because they're children. And I go, I've got no sweets. Can you do magic? Of course you can. They go, yeah. Or they'll go, no. But they normally say yes. So I'll tell you what I need you to do, and I'll give them a wand or something. And I'll say, look, I'll tell you what, let's make some sweets. Say a magic word. Jesus, you're great. Please. And there you go. Oh, yeah. There you go. Right, get off. We had a bit of a joke yesterday. I was saying, all these are free, because on the other tables, everything was for sale, obviously, rightly so. And nothing of ours was for sale. And I say, these are all free. And as they took them, I go, accept that lollipop, that's £1. And they put it back, and I go, oh, that's £2. But it was just a joke. Right. As I said before, I might have said before, some people were offering us money. And it was such a struggle to say no. But there we go, I did. Right, okay, I need someone else. I'm going to get another one, because you've got to do it. Yeah, you. Oh, yeah? This is the... don't tell them about our relationship. Right, now... when the people come up, I don't give them a chance to say no. Like, you don't say, hello, can I speak to you? Would you like me to speak to you about Jesus? Because they'll go, no, not really. So I don't. I just say, come over here, I'm going to show you a trick. Or, do you want to see a trick? Of course you do, come over here. And then I stand in front of them so they can't walk away. And I say, have you ever seen a card trick before?
Yeah.
Right. Would you like to examine these? Yeah, I bet you would. Right. And I just say, look, we've got a pack of cards here. They're all different, and they really are all different. They're not a trick deck of cards, although I've got some, but these are not them. So I say you can take any card you wish. So they'll reach in and they'll take a card. That one? Sure? Okay. Yep. So you know it's yours and it's not a duplicate. Show everyone, and sign your name in front on the face, that bit there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, just sign that. Done it?
Yeah.
That's it. Right. Well, that's her name. Right. Can you hold out your hand for me?
Yeah.
Lovely. Clean one. Yeah. Right. I'm going to give you the 9 of spades, and once you've got it, do not let me near it.
Okay.
All right. Do it nice and slow so you can see. Put your other hand on top of it so I can't touch it. All right. I'm going to take a card which is the King of Hearts, and I'm going to sign. This is my dialogue, and I'm going to sign the name of the most famous person that's ever lived. Jesus. There you go. So I'm going to hold on to this card. I'm going to do it nice and slowly, like that. So you've got the 9 of spades, and I've got the King of Hearts. Yeah. You all agree? Yeah.
Yeah.
With me so far? Except I've got your 9 of spades, so you must have my King of Hearts. Okay. Now, no, don't clap. Please, don't clap. What I then say is, just if they're not a Christian, I'll ascertain that first. If they're not a Christian, I'd say, just like these 2 cards exchange places, Jesus, who is the King of our hearts, changed places with us on the cross, and he took the punishment we deserve, so that we may have the chance of going to heaven if we believe. Now give them to the people, and then take it off. There was I did this about a dozen times yesterday, if not more. And one of the ladies said, oh, that's such a brilliant trick, I'll remember that. And I said, no, don't remember the trick. It's not the trick you've got to remember, it's the message behind the trick. Okay, that's just a means to an end. It's the message I want you to remember, not the trick. Okay, so that's that. I'll do more talking. How we got the time here? Oh, look off here. Right, get rid of this junk. Where were we? Oh yeah, the next thing I want to read out is another one of the commands why we should evangelise. This one is from Matthew 28, verse 19-20. Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptising in the name of the Father, the Son, and Holy Spirit. Okay, we all know that one. Mark 16, and he, Jesus, said to them, the disciples, go into the world and proclaim the gospel to the whole creation. Okay, another one. Timothy 2, verse 2-4. Preach the word, be ready in season and out of season. 1 Peter 3:15. But in your hearts, honour Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defence to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and respect. They're just a few. If you go through, there's dozens of these things. All commands saying, do it. It wasn't a, if you fancy it one Saturday morning, pop along to your village and have a chat with people. It's a command. Go and do what I tell you. Go and make disciples of all nations. And as Steve was saying, although we're not all evangelists, we can evangelise. I'm sure in your life, every single person here, more than once, has spoken to someone who's not a Christian about Christianity in some form. Even if it's what you're doing at Christmas, yeah? And then you go on from there. So you're doing it anyway. Although you're not given a choice by Christ, you are given the ability to do it. We do it every single day. We speak to strangers every day. And you don't worry, oh, what am I going to say to that stranger, whatever. It just comes out naturally. And so does evangelism. If you do it enough, it's a piece of cake. Well, you've got to do it a lot. But maybe not a piece of cake, but it becomes easier. Okay, this is the long bit. Before I go into this long bit, which probably takes us to the end, do you remember last week I asked if anybody regularly carries a tract in their pocket or purse? And I think it was Tracy, Ben and Lakeisha put their hands up. I didn't, because I didn't. And I'm not going to ask for a show of hands now, because that's embarrassing. But following that, if you remember, in your own mind, how many people now put a tract in their pocket? I'll leave that to you. And I'll probably say that the next month I talk, which will be in 2025. So that's the next time I'll do it, and I'll remind people again. Raise your hands. How many people here were brought up in a Christian home? Wow. I'd say at least 2/3, if not more. Mark, is you here? A few weeks ago, Mark, you said, I'm going to stand out here again. A few weeks ago, Mark, you said that everyone here in the church, because you did the morning service, the morning bit, you said everyone here is because of someone praying for them. Do you remember that? That got me. I thought, yeah, he's right, yeah. Someone has prayed for every single person here. Now, if you were raised in a Christian home, I'm sure your mother and father would have prayed for you, or your brothers or your sisters. Okay? If you were not raised in a Christian home, I wasn't, far from it, someone, at least one person, would have prayed for you. As Mark said, no one's here without someone praying for them. I can give you a personal thing. When as you know, they come to faith not when I was 82, when I was 62. When I was 62, okay? And although I was surrounded by Christians, Jackie's family were all Christians, my daughters were Christians, even next door neighbour was a Christian, okay? And I've been given books and told to read the book and listen to the video and listen to the sermon and blah, blah, blah. And I did, and it just wasn't connecting at all. And I think I gave a bit of that in the testimony. But I know, because I've asked, who actually prayed for me? Because I always thought it was just my eldest daughter, Emma. Because when I told her, she burst into tears and said, Dad, I've been praying for you for 23 years. Quite touching. I then asked Emma last week, knowing I was going to talk about this, I said, did Abraham, your husband, pray for me? She went, yep. And Ria, her sister, and Paul, her husband, and the people in her church. And I remember asking Pastor Jonathan, I don't think you remember this, I'd just become a Christian, and I was on the door giving out Bibles, and one of the ladies said, can you get me a large print Bible? And I went, yeah, great, where are they? She said, they're in the fellowship hall. So I went, yeah, okay, be in a minute. I went blundering in there, opened the door, not realising there was people in there praying. I don't know how many it was there, I can't remember, about, I don't know, a dozen, 10, whatever. And I went, oh, sorry, I didn't realise. So I'm hunting around, and I'm sort of not doing it on purpose, but I could hear them praying. And he prayed for a guy called Scottish Bob. Do you remember Scottish Bob? He joined about the same time as no, after I became a Christian, he then joined. And they were praying for Scottish Bob to come to faith. And I came back, gave him the Bible, and afterwards I went up to the pastor and I said, did you pray for me? And he went, yeah. Well, it's quite emotional. He said, every week. Well, you can tell it still gets me. After 12 years, it still gets me. Right, so someone is praying for you. And what a wonderful thing. And if you could, I'm sure you pray for other people. I'm sure there's people here who pray for their friends and their relatives, their sons, daughters, wives, husbands, whatever. And don't give up. Do not give up. The day you give up is the day you die. All right? That's something to remember. Do not give up till you die. Because Emma prayed for me for 23 years. And she got a wish. So you just don't give up. When we're out evangelising, as I said, we're not converting anyone. We are 9 times out of 10 sowing a seed. 9 times out of 10 we're sowing a seed. But on that 10th time, we might be watering the seed. But not watering it for the first time. We might have watered it for the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, 10 times. And I think that is the way that non-Christians eventually come to faith. Because someone sows a seed, whether it's your parents, if you come from a Christian family, or someone else, another Christian, will sow that seed, and then it gets watered. And it might get watered dozens and dozens of times, like it was for me. Once that work is done, and the next step is coming to church, which we invite people, if we think there's a chance of them coming to church, we'll invite them to our church. That's when the pastor takes over. Okay, so we sow the seed, or we water the seed. But then the pastor does the hard job. He now is responsible, along with God, I know that, and we all know that, so I won't even go on about that. But under his missionary, I think that's the right word, under your mission, whatever, ministry, not missionary, ministry, under Jonathan's ministry, he will then keep watering that seed until eventually, pop, it becomes flower, and they come to faith. Okay, so our job is to sow the seed or water the seed. And then we leave it to the professional guy over here and God. Right. The professional meaning the one who gets paid. Right, what's the next bit? Oh, I've done that bit. Oh, yeah. A few weeks ago, Pastor Jonathan mentioned that we went to a conference, an evangelical conference. Pastor Jonathan was in London at the site, and I was on what was called a hub. I was in Norwich at the City Gates Church, and it was beamed live to us there. There was I think I remember there was 26 people from 8 different churches. And it was on a big screen, and it was fabulous. It was coming over, and the audio was great, the vision was great. It was good. It was really good. And it went on to about, I think we finished at 4 o'clock on our end. I know you went a bit longer because there was stuff that they didn't show at the end that Pastor Jonathan was involved in. But I think it finished around about 4 o'clock. It started at 10. We had a couple of breaks, and then finished 4. So we were there for 6 hours if you take away an hour and a half for breaks. It was a long conference. There was a lot of stuff in there. A lot of it was, it's this personal, all right? Everyone would have a different view of every aspect of the conference. No one would say it was 100% brilliant, or no one would say it was 100% rubbish. So everyone's got a different view. I thought, overall, it was really good. It was really good. And what I was pleased about, that thing I was taught, that book what do they call it? Guide. The guide I'd written. I was kind of sitting there ticking it off. Yeah, he said, I've got that. Yeah, I've got that one. Yeah. He said that. Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah, good. Okay, that's great. Yeah. And then I'm just going along ticking the bits off. And I think, oh, that's good. I'm getting a bit of backup here. I've said that because I thought that's right. And this guy knows 100 times more than I do has said the same thing. Oh, wow. Well done, me. Ticking that one off. But there was a couple of things there. There was one thing I really was sad about. And I know Pastor Jonathan knows my view on certain things. I'll give you an analogy that's true. When I was a fireman, after passing X amount of exams, you can become an officer. So I passed the officer exams, the junior officer exam, and you go away to college for, I don't know how long it was now, 6 weeks, I think, to teach you how to be an officer. Okay? The first rank, you get fireman, we get recruit, then you get fireman, then you get leading fireman, sub-officer, station officer, blah, 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 and it goes up. So if I say I was being taught how to be, for men, it'll be a corporal. Men know more about the ranks than maybe women. It's the next rank up from a fireman. You are now in charge of a fire engine. Okay? And if you become the sub-officer, you're in charge of 2 fire engines. Okay? And it goes up like that. So I'm being told, instead of either driving or sitting on the back, squirting the water, whatever, I can now learn to be an officer and be in charge of a fire engine and all the responsibility that goes with that. And so I think I can't remember how many weeks. There was quite a few weeks. And at the end of it, at the end of this course, we had 4 officers, very high-ranking officers, DOs, divisional officers, or something like that. And they said, right, there was 4 of them, and the guys, there's about 12 of us, sitting on the seats facing. And he said, right, how do you think, lads? Yeah, great, yeah, very good, very good. He said, anybody got any comments? And I've gone, yeah, I've got one. Me, I would, of course, being trappy. I said, yeah, I've got one. I said, the course was all about being trained to be a junior officer, yeah, which is a corporal, the next rank up. He went, yeah. I said, the lowest rank here was a DO, a divisional officer, which is 4 ranks above a fireman. I said, why didn't you put out a leading fireman? The rank that we're supposed to be being taught how to do it. The rank we are being taught to be is the one guy who's not here. We're being taught by blokes 4 ranks above us who forgot entirely what it was like to be a leading fireman, which was the rank I was being taught to be. And I said, and this is the thing I want to say. In the conference, it's about evangelism. And we evangelised to non-Christians. There was no non-Christian input in the entire conference. Where was the input? From the very people that we are evangelising and learning how to talk to. And I was disappointed with that, because I feel that it was really good, and some of the points that I said were great, especially the ones I've written down in my guide, really great. But we didn't get the input from the non-Christian, the very people we are being told that we're going to talk to. Now, I remember being, when I was a non-Christian, excuse me, sorry, get a bit dry. When I was a non-Christian, I've been evangelised to, I've read books about, and I was told to look at this video and listen to this preacher and listen to that sermon. And they were giving me answers that I didn't want. I wanted my questions answered, not the questions that the pastor or the book thought I needed to know. It was too high. I wanted to know real basic stuff. And I was being taught by these officers very advanced stuff. And that was my criticism for the course. The one person missing from the course was the person that we're being taught about. It just didn't make sense to me. I suppose it's like someone's learning to read a Janet and John book, and all you've got there are people who've written places like War and Peace and Shakespeare. They can't relate. It's two different things. A non-Christian is nothing like a Christian. You will be amazed what little knowledge non-Christians have. When I talk to these people, yesterday was a prime example. I must have said this a dozen times. Okay, you know Jesus. You've heard of Jesus. Everyone's heard of Jesus, yeah? Okay. What else do you know? He died on the cross. Yeah. What else? Why? I've never, in over 2.5 years, met a non-Christian who could tell me why Christ died on the cross. Not one. They all know he died before. I don't know. And I think, you know this guy, the most well-known person that's ever existed on the planet. Every person in the world knows about him. And every person in the world knows he dies on the cross. Even Muslims and Buddhists and Sikhs and Hindus know he died on the cross. And it's your faith, apparently. And you don't know why. How ridiculous. That is the level of what a non-Christian is. Okay? You might say, oh yeah, I know about Christianity, I know about church and doing. No, you don't. They know nothing about Christianity. You have got a vast amount of knowledge. Every one of you are vastly more knowledgeable than the most knowledgeable non-Christian. They have no concept of Christ. Oh, that was a bit rough for me. I'm going to have a go at myself there. Right, okay. Some of the things they did say was really good. On this conference, it said, which I really enjoyed, and I know you did as well, concentrate on what works. Okay? They put it more succinctly. Do less, better. My words are, if it doesn't work, don't do it. Try it, if it doesn't work, don't do it. Move on. Don't keep banging away at the same old thing, throwing money and time and effort into something if it's not working. Take that and put it somewhere else and try again. If that don't work, okay, try that. And they said that. Do less, better. Do evangelism, less, but better. Okay? Don't spread yourself too thin, and I agree with that. The second one comes from Matthew 10, verse 14. I can't remember the exact word. It says, Christ was talking to his disciples, giving them instruction. He said, if you go to a town or a house and you are not welcomed, wipe the dust off your feet and leave. And that's another thing about what I'm saying about doing less better. If it doesn't work, scrub it, as I would say. Forget it. Move on. Do less better. And another thing they said, find a church. Find a church. That's the best thing you could do, is find a church, an evangelical church. All right, now he's talking about the other churches learning how to do evangelism. Do less better. Find a church who's doing it and copy them. This Baptist church, the only one I know of in this area anyway. Find a church and copy them. Real basic stuff. It's not big theological theory. It's basic. Do less to do it better. Find a church that's doing it and copy them. As easy as that. Then he was talking about what it takes. This Australian guy, whose name I can't remember. Do you remember him?
I do.
Yeah. I'll give you time to think. Okay. He was really good because he was pretty like me. He was pretty basic. That just telling it like it is. He said it takes people plus word plus time plus prayer to bring a person to faith. People, the evangelists, not just us who are doing it on the streets, but anyone. The evangelists, the people. the Word, what we talk about, Christ, Christianity, plus the time, Saturday morning for us, or whenever you talk to people, plus prayer, probably the most important one, plus prayer. And that is called the mission pathway. People, word, time and prayer. Pretty simple really when you boil it down to that really, isn't it? People are there talking to non-Christians about Christ and then praying about it. It's simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And I like that because everyone could understand that. So I agree with that as well. I found it's not, when I talk to these people in the streets, this is another subject, so I'll go into it briefly here, then I'll go into it in more depth another time. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, what a great day, blah, 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 blah. And they come over, want to see a trick, yeah. And then you get down to the Christian talk. Or if it's a child, I do a child for them. While you're eating your sweets, there's a book, get some colouring pens, get stuck into that, I'm going to talk to mum and dad. And then I talk to them. You sometimes get, no, I'm an atheist. I'll go, great, oh, it's brilliant. I haven't met one today, that's great. And I go, what? Yeah, oh, that's fabulous. Oh, that's great. Tell me about atheists, because I say, I don't really understand. What is an atheist exactly? Well, and they go, well, I don't believe in God. Oh, right, well, the Christian God or any God? Well, I never thought of that. Well, God, really? Just God? Oh, okay. Right, that's really interesting. How have you come to that belief? Because it is a belief. You don't believe that there is a God, so your belief is there is no God. How do you, can you tell me, I'll go, because I'm really interested here. I say, I know why I'm a Christian. I say, I know that, but I want to know why you're not a Christian. So tell me how you have come to the decision that there is no God. What evidence have you looked at? And of course, I haven't looked at any. They've not looked at any evidence. And I go, well, I mean, that's a pretty important decision, isn't it? To believe that there is no God, you must have looked at something that's led you, or spoke to someone that's led you to believe, or watched something that's led you to believe there is no God. And they can't answer it. They have no idea. And if I'm feeling a bit bold, I'll go, right, I can show you all the evidence you want under the sun for why there is a God. You can show me no evidence whatsoever, but you've got an opinion that there is no God. Oh, right. Okay, all right. Okay, then, thanks. There's a tract. There you go. You think it doesn't annoy me, but it disappoints me how someone can make such an incredibly important decision based on no evidence whatsoever. And that happens all the time. Occasionally, I'll say, what, you don't believe in a Christian God or any God? Well, I don't believe in the God in the Bible. Okay, so do you believe in any higher being, or do you think you're the pinnacle of life's creation? Well, no, put it like that. No, I'm not. Right, so do you believe then that there is something in the universe that's greater than you? Or do you think that you are the greatest thing in the universe? And of course, no one's going to say, yeah, I think I'm the greatest thing in here. But I go, no, I think there's something higher than me. So you believe in a higher being? Yeah. In English, that's called the God. Okay? So you believe there's a higher being, which I would call God, which most people know as God. Well, yeah, but not the Christian God. Why not? Why not the Christian God? Well, I don't believe he did miracles. Oh, right. Right, okay. Then the conversation goes on from there. As I said before, they have no knowledge. It's incredibly basic. And I know it sounds horrible, but you can trip them up quite easily. Not that I'm trying to trip them up, because that's not the wrong way. That's the wrong way to do it. But what I'm trying to do is they end up convincing themselves. Okay? They convert themselves into believing. I don't do it. I just give them the alternatives, and they don't like the alternatives. So they will back themselves into a corner of belief, and it works all the time. And it's so easy to do. As Adrian was saying, it is not rocket science to talk to people about Christianity. Okay? You are talking to people who are struggling with their first Janet and John book, and you are reading War and Peace. They are so far below you in knowledge. There's nothing they can say to trip you up other than what does what's that said in Psalm 139? Fearfully made. That's the only thing I've been tripped up on. But you can do it. Just talk to them, and you don't have to start off with, "Hello, can I talk to you about Jesus Christ?" No, don't, because they'll go, "No, I don't want to. No, I'm sorry." But you just, what were you saying? "Good morning, how you doing?" Bucket you down again today. I don't suppose you want to stop and have a chat, do you? Some people do. And I just say, "Hey, are you local?" "Yeah." And they'll show them the trick, and then suddenly, I say, "Oh, by the way, we're from this Baptist church. My name's Bob, and these are my colleagues as well. Have you ever thought about Christianity? Have you ever thought, do you have any faith?" And it just snowballs on, and it's so easy to do. Those who are worried, "Oh, I might get stumped with a theological question," you will never be stumped with a theological question. I'll give you 2 examples. I've got 8 minutes. I'll give you 2 examples. Guy walked across the road and he called out, "How did Mary get pregnant?" So I said, "Well, I'm not shouting out the answer, come over here." So he walked over, he was a guy like that, about mid-30s. So I said, "Right, I'm going to give you the secular answer and I'm going to give you the theological answer, the biblical answer. The second one you won't understand, but I'll try and explain it." I said, "Right, do you believe in God?" "No." "All right, well, that ends the conversation. But for the sake of argument, let's say there is something called God." And he went, "Yeah, okay." So I said, "Right, if there's something called God, he created the universe." He went, "Yeah, I've got that." I said, "So making a woman pregnant is a piece of cake, isn't it?" He's gone, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, of course it is. You make a universe, you make a woman pregnant. Good grief, yeah." He's gone, "Yeah." I said, "Right, now I'll give you the theological answer." I said, God is not like you and me. We haven't got corporal bodies, okay? They're spirit bodies. In fact, we have no idea what God is. So we've got to call God something, so we call it a spirit. But I don't know what it is, and no one does. We cannot conceive of God, I said, any more than a blade of grass can conceive of Einstein's equations. That is how far away we are from God. We cannot conceive it, but we've got to call God something, so we call him a spirit. He's gone, "Yeah, right." I said, his spirit, what's his character, his power, everything that is God, he put into Mary. Okay, his spirit, through the Holy Spirit. His character, his spirit, his power, all went into Mary. And she conceived via the Spirit of God. And he went, "Oh, okay, thanks for that." And he walked off. that was it. I don't know if that guy might have thought about it. I don't know. Then the other one that was stumped me, what was the other one that stumped me? Apart from the one where he said explain fearfully. Can't think of it at the moment, so I'll move on. It'll come to me later. I'm just going to do something here. It's not a lecture, but has anybody got any questions or got any comments on what I've said so far? Right, okay. I'm going to finish, like I say, I like to leave you with a thought. This might sound a bit brutal, but it's not meant to be. But as I said, I kind of tell it as it is. It's straight. Right, okay, I will do it. Imagine that you're on a ship. A big ship, a cruise liner. And it suffers a catastrophic accident. And the captain says, "Everybody abandon ship." Okay, and everybody's piling into the lifeboats. But it's not enough. And the ship starts to sink. And there's people jumping off the boat, just like Titanic. People jumping off the side because the ship's going down. And you're lucky enough to be in a big lifeboat, old Tabano, 2 dozen people, 3 dozen people, and there's only about 6 of you in there. Okay, and you can see the shore. You're not far away from the shore, like the Concordia was that went around. And the guys, there's actually 2 guys in there from the ship, and they're doing the rowing, and you're just sitting there. And you see all these people in the water, and they're drowning, and they're screaming out for help. Now, do you think, "I'm not bothered, I'm safe, I'm getting rowed to shore, leave them, I'm safe, I'm okay, I'm being rowed to shore"? Or do you say, "Look, there's someone over there, let's help them, let's try and get as many as you can, help them into the boat, come on, we can do this, working between us, we can do it, we can save as many people as we can"? That's scenario B. Now, I'm guessing that you would not do scenario A. The I'm safe, I'm happy, lead them to their fate, I'm going to rope shore. You would do everything in your power to pick up every single person you could and get them in that lifeboat. And then when it's full, then go to safety. That's how I look upon when we evangelise. There's people out there drowning, but they're drowning in their ignorance. And I've got a lifeboat I'm in this lifeboat, and I can go and help those people. I can get them in the boat. I can save as many as I can. Some I won't be able to save, because there's hundreds of them floating around in the water. Some are already dead. But I can try to save as many as I can. I am not going to just think, I'm sorted, I'm saved, I'm okay, Jack. And I know that you wouldn't do that either. So I'm leaving you with that thought. What are you going to do? Yes. Right, that's it, I'm done. Let's have a song. We're going to finish off with...